guys! How are you today? I am really excited about today's crafts. They're going to be really fun. So today I wanted to do something that was kind of koi fish kind of themed and kind of fun. So I'm going to show you how to make a quick little koi fish applique. So, or paper applique, I guess, is what I'm going to call it. I don't really know what the actual word is here. Paper piecing, I guess. Okay, so here in the little kit, we're going to kind of have some different little parts of this. Okay, so what you're going to need is the red piece of paper and the light orange piece of paper here. And that's what we're going to start with. These pieces are for the next one. Okay, so you're going to take your pair of scissors, and we're going to start with the light orange piece of paper, and you're going to start out by cutting a squiggly that kind of looks like this, maybe. Okay, all right. Okay, something kind of maybe like that. Now this is going to be the head of the koi fish, so you kind of go like this, and then you're just going to kind of wrap this guy all the way down to a point. Okay, so it's kind of a funky looking kind of a teardrop, but this end kind of comes to a kind of a point. And we're actually even going to kind of curve that off a little bit so it's a little bit more flat like an actual koi fish nose. In fact, I'm going to make that even more flat. Okay, so kind of a rounded kind of koi fish nose and kind of a point kind of like that. So that's part one. Very, very easy. Then the next thing we're going to do is this little piece of paper that you have here. You're going to fold this in half so that you get two that are going to be exactly the same, and what you're going to do is you're going to cut one that's going to, again, kind of a curve shape. Koi fish is a bunch of flowy curves, you guys, in case you didn't know. And then this, we're just going to kind of curve maybe like this. If it's not perfect, don't worry about it, okay? And you can kind of see how that might look by kind of lining that up like that. I'm actually going to turn this guy over so it's a little bit more on the flat side. So the more of the flat side is kind of what you're aiming for here with your little fishies, okay? I don't want them to be exactly symmetrical, and I can just tuck this under here. So I want that to be a little bit more flowy. I can kind of do that. Okay, so that's what we have thus far. Kind of looking koi fish-like already. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so now with the other piece over here, I'm going to cut a chunk of this off. I'm going to cut kind of a larger swoopy. I'm just going to call it swoopy. And then I'm going to do another one. I'm going to kind of thin that out a little bit so it kind of looks more like this. And I'm thinking that this is going to be actually going to kind of curve one side of it like this. And I'm going to curve the other side like this. Okay, and we'll just kind of tuck our little pieces kind of on there. All right, and look at that. We already have a koi fish. I cannot believe how quick and easy that is. All right, now, if you don't believe me yourself, grab a piece of paper, go back, watch the little video I just did, do it yourself with a little piece of paper. You will see how really it's not that difficult. Okay, so now I'm just going to glue that together, just like what I just did there. Okay. See, I don't really need very much glue. Alright, and this little guy down here at the bottom. Now you notice I glued this right on top of that little point there. Okay, I did that on purpose. And then this next piece, I just kind of glued a little bit higher up and kind of made it so it kind of flowed maybe kind of next to it, okay? So, and not very much higher up, maybe a little bit higher up. Oh. Okay. So you get something that kind of looks like that. All right. Now what I'm going to do, so we have our little koi fish guy there. Now I'm going to go ahead and, oh, I made him a little bit too big. Well, well, well. That's my own fault. This doesn't really need to be that big. I cut him down the sides just a little bit here. I think I can get away with it. I think so. Because that is the one part. It does need to fit onto the red paper. might actually give you guys a piece of paper, red paper that's a little bit bigger than mine so that you can do that. I'm going to thin my koi fish out a little bit so he doesn't, I want him to be kind of just a little bit more slim looking than what I've created him to be here. I don't know if you guys saw that. I definitely ripped my paper. That's okay. I have another side. Not a problem. All right. So now that I have my little koi fish guy, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue him onto the red paper. Oh my gosh. Please fit. Come on. You got this. Yes. Just barely. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and glue him on. Okay. So once he's glued onto the little piece of red paper there, then I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to cut him out, and I'm just going to leave a tiny little bit of a red border. It doesn't need to be very much of a red border. The idea is that I want my koi fish to kind of be like this kind of tone on tone, kind of orangey red kind of a fish. Okay. So that is my plan here. La la la, cutting, cutting, cutting. All right, so I'm probably doing maybe a 1/16 of an inch. My hands are dirty, so while there was glue on here, I got a little spot of a little dirty mark. But you know what? That is where the next part comes in. You are going to need this other orange piece of paper, but the rest of the red you will not need. All right, so now we're going to go in, and first I'm going to draw the little eyes. I'm just going to make these kind of like little skinny kind of oval kind of eyes. Okay. Oh, we'll make them just a little bit wider than that. All right, and then I'm going to do 2 little dots for the little nose of the koi. Okay, so kind of like this. You see the little eyes? The little dots for his little nose. All right, now I'm going to go in and I'm going to draw some lines for his fins. Okay, like so. Draw some little lines. I'm using a fine line slicky pen, and that's S-L-I-C-C-I, slicky. And the pen is a fine line gel pen, but it dries immediately, so even if you're left-handed, your lines never smear. So I'm going to create all these tiny little skinny lines here. I'm just going to do this, I'm doing it on the tail and on the fins. And this is just going to make it kind of look like fins here. I'm just kind of drawing like little lines. Okay. All right. And then sometimes what I also do is I'll add like a couple little dot groupings in the fins, and that will kind of just make it add like a little bit of texture. It just kind of makes it look a little bit more interesting. And then that way, if you have like a little mistake or a little blemish in with the fin, it makes it kind of look like more purposeful. I don't know if you guys can see the tiny little dot groupings kind of here and here and up here. Okay. And then you're going to make these little fin marks, which are just these little tiny half circle shapes. And I'm going to do that all the way throughout the rest of the fin. Okay. So now we have a koi fish. Alright, and it's really surprising how quick it is to make a koi fish. Look at that! Isn't that cool? So now you have a little koi. Alright, so then what we're going to do here for this card, so the front of this card says thinking of you, and then the inside says with love, which I thought was a nice sentiment for right now. And so what we're going to do is you have, these are what I'm going to call these little lily pads, these little pieces of, these little orange, oh my gosh. Green circles, and so I have some larger ones, and then I have some more medium-y ones. So you're going to pick out 4, okay, and they can, I recommend like varying sizes here. All right, I think I'm going to pick these guys here. Actually, I decided I'm going to pick 5, and we'll leave the other 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you should have 10 or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pick out 5 for this one, and we'll leave the other 5 for the other one. All right, so what you're going to do is you're just going to, I'm going to obviously create lily pads, and to do that is just to cut a little slice out of the pad. Okay, you can kind of play around with your lily pad shapes, especially if you want to kind of create like some interesting little things kind of going on here. You can do that. I think I'm mostly going to try and stick with just picking a slice out, but sometimes I like to kind of experiment, be like, ooh, what would it look like if I did this? So you can kind of like play around with some different kind of ideas there. Okay, so once you have decided on how much of your lily pad you're going to be cutting out there. Okay. All right, and you have your little lily pads. So then you can kind of arrange them however you would like on your card. Oh my gosh, I just love how that looks. So cute, but don't glue it down quite yet. So now we're going to do a little bit of a background coloring. So, I'm going to show you to do just a really quick little watercolor. Now, what you're going to need is just a little paintbrush. I'm going to use a water brush because a water brush already has water in it. Get a paper really fast. And then this is a piece of acetate. A piece of acetate is literally just a clear piece of plastic that you can color on with water-based markers or dye-based markers. If you happen to have Tombow markers, that's what I'm using, and that's what I most recommend for this project. However, if you don't have Tombow markers, not a problem. Something else you can use would be like Crayola markers, any marker that moves with water. And if you don't know if your marker moves with water, scribble on a little piece of paper, lick your finger and rub it across the marker, and if it smears, then you know that that marker will work. So you just color it onto a piece of plastic, or you can color it onto an old CD. Looks great. And so once you do that, then the ink will react with water when it gets wet. So you could just scribble onto a piece of paper, or not onto a piece of paper, onto a piece of acetate. And I recommend doing it onto a piece of white paper as the background, and then the plastic's on top, so that way you can truly see what color it is you're working with here. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to be kind of using these kind of blue and kind of denim tones. So I'm going to get on my craft mat here, so I'm going to get my paper. Blue. Okay, so I'm going to lay this down. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to get some of those things out of the way there. Come back to the orange piece. Okay, so I have my koi, I have my watercolor. Alright, so now I've closed my card, so as I'm just going to be doing this right here on the very front. So I'm just going to be creating a water scene, because the idea is that my koi is going to go on here, and I'm going to have my little lily pads kind of sitting all the way around, alright? But the background is not currently blue, but I need it to be, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to squirt out a little bit of water into my color here, and I'm just going to kind of go along the side. Okay, so I'm not really going super in the middle, alright, because I really want the color to be kind of darkest along the edges. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of swipe into the middle just a little bit. Alright, okay, and you can use a little bit of your own, if you have some watercolor that you would like to use, that you maybe been wanting to use for a while, you're welcome to use your watercolor palette. I just wanted to share with you how you can use your markers as a watercolor as well. So you're welcome to use whatever kind of watercolors you maybe have laying around as well, or if you don't have watercolors, you're welcome to use markers or colored pencils to kind of color your background. I really just wanted to kind of show you and educate you on a way to do that. So what I did here is I went back in with the darker color, and I just activated that, and I went in and did it the same thing all again. And so I kind of get this kind of two-tone kind of color. One was kind of a mix of the two colors, and the second one was just the darker color. Okay, so now we're going to wait for that to dry. If you're wondering, like, how that you're like, oh my gosh, my paper is starting to warp. Yeah, mine is too. That happens. And when, so what I'm going to do is that when I finish with this card, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sit it underneath the book for a while, or even under a craft mat is great. Even just something like this where it's nice and flat. Just something that you can sit flat for, you know, maybe a few hours, let's say 3 hours, until it dries, and then it will dry nice and flat for you. Or underneath the book is great. It kind of depends, or underneath the box, if you have a little box in a room, you can do that with. All right, so once that dries, we're going to glue our little koi fish on. Or actually, we're going to glue our little lily pads on next. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those on. And so I'm going to kind of decide what I want to do. I wanted to kind of do like some little, oh, look how cute this is. Oh my gosh, I'm just so pleased. I'm so tickled with the cuteness. All right. I know I had 1, 2, 3. Oh no, I do have 5. Okay. So I'm going to do one big one down here. I'm going to do these little guys up here. And then I'm going to do this guy up here and this little guy up here. Okay. Actually, I think I'm going to do something maybe like this instead. Okay. So then I'm actually going to take my little green marker right here, and I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to draw a couple little marks kind of like this with my green marker, and this just kind of gives it this kind of lily pad kind of shape here, kind of following this kind of shape that I was kind of cutting with. If you were not feeling very confident with your little slices earlier, you could actually go in with your marker ahead of time and draw these, and then draw your little slices in your lily pads, so then that way you can really feel confident in the direction and meeting those all in the middle. Okay, and I'm just going to add a couple little dot groupings in here too, because dot groupings just kind of add a little bit of texture. La la la. It really does add something, in my opinion. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and glue our lily pads down. So I'm going to glue probably, I think, this one and this one down first. And the reason why I wanted to glue some down and some not is because I've decided I'm going to use my pop dots that I've included in your little kit to add a little bit more dimension. Now, if you will notice that the pop dots, there's a pop dot and then there's like the little piece that it comes out of. So you technically have like double the pieces of pop dots, because the little piece it comes out of is also has dimension on it. So you can use both those pieces to add dimension to your card. So the pop dot goes on a little one and on a bigger one, and that just kind of makes it a little bit more fun by adding a little bit more, I don't know, depth to the card, I guess. All right. Okay. Great. All right, and then we're going to go in here and we're going to add the koi fish. And now you can kind of decide if you would like to pop the koi fish up as well, or if you want it to go kind of underneath your kind of lily pads. And I think I want it to kind of go underneath the lily pads. I like that. Okay, and now I'm going to finish off the card with the same colors I did my water with. I'm going to add just some little dot groupings kind of here and there as well. And that, in this case, this is going to be just maybe like little bubbles in the water, if you're just kind of trying to imagine what those might be, or what you might be trying to mimic. Oh, how fun is that? Love it. I'm actually going to add quite a few little dot groupings there because I like that. All right, so there we have the first card, Thinking of You, and then with love. Yay! Card number 1.